do this. Oops. There we have it. We're live. Okay. Let me start recording on this computer. Hi, everybody. Let me say hello to everybody in the live chat for all of our viewers watching live. Happy Saturday night. Hope everybody's having a nice Saturday night. Welcome. Ooh, I spelled that wrong. I'm going to get this going in just a minute. Just waiting for some people to join us. So it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. This is Saturday, July 25th, 2020. This is GoldFish Report number 532. It is our weekend edition of our week 181 POTUS report. So I want to welcome everybody who is joining us right now. This is going to cover the dates of roughly July 19th to the 25th. And when I say roughly, it's because I already reported on the 19th to the 22nd, but I will continue to report. I will just do a brief review. Like highlight the big topics for the week, but you can go to that midweek POTUS report and take a look at all those details if you'd like. I'm going to go over the remainder of the week policy issues that the president's been addressing and the actions he's been taking. And I'm going to start out. Hi, Shari dear, I see you. Thank God my headache's better. My goodness, I had like a migraine today, but it's better. So, okay. Hi, Phoenix. How are you? Nice. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to play a video that I think everybody's seen. If you have not seen this video this week, I just need to show you how awesome our Kayleigh McEnany is, okay? And I'm going to do that right now. This is really the highlight of the week where Kayleigh McEnany is so incredibly skilled at what she does. And of course, she's got a team of people helping her and planning this as well. But the whole point is that the mainstream media not only doesn't report it, but as this press conference went underway, and I was actually watching it on Fox News when they broke away because they weren't expecting Kayleigh to play this video 2 minutes into the news conference, and she's showing the pictures, look like these explosions on the screens behind her, of what was really happening in Portland, and because the mainstream media is not reporting it. And so if you want to know what's going on with our POTUS, and if you want to know how hard he's working for us, tune into the POTUS reports every week, because for 181 weeks, we've been bringing you exactly that, exactly what the POTUS has been doing, and what advances and accomplishments he has been achieving. So let's take a listen to this, because I think everybody wants to hear. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining me as I get this set up. I want to welcome everybody. Happy Saturday night to everyone. Hold on a second. I don't have it queued. Where did it go? Where'd you go, Kayleigh? Here we go. It's going to be 2 minutes long, so I want you to be, prepared. It's going to be a 2-minute video, or maybe roughly two. You have to hear the beginning of her press conference, and then boom, she kind of surprises everybody. And then the Fox News said that they had to break away, and she specifically said she had to break away. The newscaster for the reporter for Fox News said because and I heard it, I watched it, and I heard it myself, because their producers would have wanted to cut away and edit that, and they couldn't, and they didn't know what else she was going to be presenting. And I do think they have a few second delay, so they wanted to not show this. So we're going to show it for everybody who didn't get to see it. So here we go.
anarchy and destruction that threatens peace in our streets and the safety of our fellow American citizens and the safety of our brave law enforcement officers. Yet some Democrats and some in the media continue to ignore reality. As Portland's Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler tweeted, quote, "What I saw last night was powerful in many ways. I listened, heard, and stood with the protesters, and I saw what it means when the federal government unleashes paramilitary forces against its own people." That was a quote from the Democrat mayor, who quite literally stood in the middle of a riot as violent protesters attacked a federal building. That is appalling, and Mayor Wheeler's clearly failing at his duty to protect his streets and his city there in Portland. The federal government has a sworn duty to uphold the laws of the United States. Through field offices and federal facilities across the country, these agents protect and serve the American people. Yet the rhetoric of the left undermines our justice system, with Nancy Pelosi calling them stormtroopers, Jim Clyburn calling them the Gestapo, and Wheeler using the term paramilitary forces. Under President Trump, violent crime rates in America finally began to fall. Rhetoric like this cannot be allowed to set us back. Augmenting the Federal Protective Service, guarding federal property in Portland, our brave officers have since augmenting them, I should say, our brave officers have faced all of these various things, like rioters barricading officers inside the Hatfield Federal Courthouse, trapping officers inside. A, quote, commercial-grade mortar firework was launched by rioters. A federal agent's hand was impaled by planted nails. Another federal agent was shot with a pellet gun, leaving a wound deep to the bone, and tragically, 3 federal officers were likely left permanently blinded by the rioters using lasers pointed directly at their eyes. These are not the actions of so-called peaceful protesters, and the Trump administration will not stand by and allow anarchy in our streets. Law and order will prevail, and I have a short video for you because I want it to be real, what is happening right now in Portland. So if we could play that video, that'd be great.
I hope someone kills your whole family.
That wasn't me, homie.
I hope they kill you too. I hope someone burns down your whole precinct with all y'all inside. Can't wait to see it.
As you can see, that is anything but a peaceful protest, and this president will always stand on the side of law and order. And with that, I'll take questions. Yes.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you about the convention, and then I have another question on foreign policy. First of all, has President Trump determined where he's going to or how he's going to deliver his speech? He said he was working on that yesterday.
So she completely avoids. Do you see this? Look at this. How these. Okay, this is what's going on here. This reporter, fake news reporter, just asked Kayleigh McEnany a completely different question, completely ignored the whole issue. She completely ignored what she was just shown on video and went to a foreign policy question talking about how is he going to prepare for his speech for the next day. They completely ignore this. This is Kayleigh McEnany. This is the White House taking back control of the narrative from the fake news media who only report lies. And did you notice the communist logo on one of those homemade shields, folks? Did you notice that? I noticed it. I'm sure a lot of people. Did anybody else notice that? Let me just check in with the live chat here. I want to see what everybody. I hope we don't freeze. I hope the connection stays good tonight. So let's keep going, because this is what needs to happen. And we need more channels like the GoldFish Report to show the distinction and to show the contrast, because when they cut away on mainstream media, then the people aren't going to be able to see what's really happening and what's going on. We actually have to I think, explain it and show in more detail exactly what's happening. That's amazing, folks. That's amazing. And notice how nobody had any questions about what that woman said about, we hope you burn, your whole precinct burns down. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, someone saying that? And did you also notice? I should go back. I just have to like review this video again a little bit. Just a few clips, because I mean, you can't ignore this. I'm going to turn the volume off just so you can see. I mean, here she was talking about burning the police down, but look at what's in this guy's hand. No, these other people have phones in their hands, right? Watch this. Hold on a second. Let's watch again and count how many cell phones you see. Look, do you see that communist logo there? Yeah, and that red shield. Jeez, look, bombs, fireworks, explosions. And look how all these people are photographing this with their phones. Somebody's photographing this, right? And look at all the people here. Look, here's somebody with their camera with a microphone on it. And here's people with, they have phones. Look at this guy. See? This guy right here in the lower left corner with his phone taking pictures. They're all going to get they're all going to get contact traced, folks. They're all going to be found. They're all going to be arrested. I don't feel sorry for any one of them. So they're getting exactly what they deserve. And, you can see, look at them videotaping with their phones. And is she under arrest? I sure hope she is. That foul mouth. Look, it's time that we hold them accountable and call them for exactly what they are. Okay, they are extremists. They're terrorists. That's what they are, and that's what we need to call them. Yeah. So this is interesting. All right, let me get back to my live chat. See how everybody's doing. What do you think? Yeah, I don't know, folks. It's so sad to see all that happen, to be honest. Now, we'll get back to this in a little bit. Let's review just some of the highlights of earlier in the week. We already did our midweek POTUS report, so I don't want to have to go over all the news, because that already took an hour and that was only half the week. There's nobody harder working on this planet than our president, folks, for we the people. And be sure of that, because how long it takes for me to report the news for the president, and so that it's people understand what he's really doing. So let's go to the blog and let's check out just a little review of what some of the highlights were of the of this week. Of course, he issued a proclamation for the death of John Lewis. There's also photos of the week from last week, because John Lewis, I had my own commentary. He was a career bureaucrat. So I mean, it's good to get some new ideas and new people in there, I think. We also have issues that the president wanted to talk about. What the president did earlier in this week was announce his actions to restore safety and peace in U.S. cities. I'm not going to go over all the details, because you can come to the blog, the goldfishreport.blogspot.com. You can check it out here, or you can go to our YouTube channel and you can check out our midweek POTUS report for week 181. 181 weeks, folks. We're down to 100 days left. Now 99 days. We're roughly 100 days away from the election. Big deal. Big deal. They're going through and they're trying to clean out all the QAnon accounts, all the big conservatives, and they're really going to push. I would definitely expect a surge in censorship, and let's just cross our fingers and hope that we are not in this round of censorship, as our first YouTube channel was deleted, millions of views. And I can tell you the numbers that they're reporting are so inaccurate, it's not even funny. In Facebook, it's just even more ridiculous. But here we have President Trump announces action to restore safety and peace in the U.S. cities. And the president's been tweeting law and order, law and order. So, he was warning everybody, look, you're not going to get away with this. We're going to, you're going to arrest you because we know you've already committed the crime. So these are not peaceful protesters, folks. They are not. The video shows exactly what they're doing. Well, so is the evidence after they leave. So if you are thinking about being a protester, I would caution you about going anywhere near these violent protests, because you will not be distinguished between the ones who are being violent and the ones who are not. And you ought to know better than to go down there and do something like that, because you're not your point. What happened? This was about what? The death of a black man? Really? And you're still doing all of this? What's going on? No, it's bullshit. It's total fake. It's a fake agenda. Okay, let's move along. Let's keep talking about it. Attorney General Barr announced the creation of Operation Legend fewer than 10 days after Legend's heartbreaking death. And this was it. The Justice Department is now surging over 200 federal law enforcement officers into Kansas City to help curb the kind of senseless violence that took this young boy's life. And of course, they're also going into Chicago and Albuquerque. They also plan to go into Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee, and of course, they're already in Portland. So, if they want to continue this crime spree, then they will all be arrested. All these people have used cell phones. They carry their cell phones with them. They've been posting videos thinking that they're cool, on Twitter and Snapchat and all these other places, and they're all going to get arrested. So there you have it. Ignorant. These people are dumb as a box of rocks. And I really don't like to call anybody dumb or anything like that, but you have to realize that you're going to bring your phone with you. You're going to be traced. So, the pings on the towers, they know where you are at all times. Oh boy, these people really don't think. Okay, so also the president is talking about being very close to a vaccine for coronavirus. I think that it's very unlikely most people are going to take this vaccine, honestly. But the president says that cases for COVID, the fatality rates continue to decline. And of course, that's really great news. So we also have the president protecting our vulnerable seniors who were in nursing homes. Unfortunately, that was their agenda. Their agenda was, as you can see with Cuomo, the left's agenda was to, well, I hate to say it's an agenda, but it just seemed that they're, it's along the line of this depopulation agenda. It was to, kill off the elderly. So this is horrible. Of course, they are repositories of our history that they're trying to change. They're trying to change the history by taking down these statues and changing the history in the books. And we can't let that happen. Okay. So they're also doing that to protect this population. The president's also contributing and distributing $5 billion in funding for skilled nursing facilities and all nursing homes who receive funds from Medicare and Medicaid and so forth. So caring for our seniors is a top priority for the president. And I'm sure he's very heartbroken to know so many. I think it was over half, or at least half, of the COVID deaths were in nursing homes. That's reported in the United States. That's horrible. That's really horrible, to be honest. It's terrible, because it just looked like, obviously, it was deliberately done, and I think many people would agree that the evidence suggests that that was the case. So the nursing homes and even for the staff, they're going to get extra help and more protective gear. And I think, as the president says, they've distributed more than 66 million gloves, 14 million masks, and 13 million gowns to nursing homes. So let's keep moving along. Now, on Wednesday, then we have a press conference, and the transcript is here, and it's very long. So this has to talk about a lot of things, but no, this isn't the press conference transcript. Sorry, this is a text to the message text of a message to Congress on the continuation of the national emergency with respect to Mali. Okay, so this has to do with this is a protocol. This letter has to be sent to Congress. It's also published in the Federal Register. Mali has continued to expand terrorist activities into southern and central Mali. The intensification of drug trafficking and trafficking in persons, human rights abuses, and hostage taking, and the intensification of attacks against civilians. The Malian Defense and Security Forces, United Nations multi-dimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali, an international security presence continues to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. So he has continued the national emergency, the declaration of national emergency there. And then here is the actual executive order, which you can come and take a look on the goldfishreport.blogspot.com if you'd like to, or you can go to the Federal Register and you can view it there as well. Okay, so this is what the president's been doing. Okay, West Wing reads the Trump is right to send federal law officers to Chicago and other cities to fight crime and save lives. The left was calling this, paramilitary against its citizens. I mean, Kayleigh McEnany's up there just saying, this isn't. Look at what they're doing. They're criminals. They're violent criminals, and they need to be arrested. So that's basically very, very simple. It doesn't get any more simple than that. These are not peaceful protesters whatsoever. Okay, so Trump. By deploying additional federal agents and other resources to communities under attack by violent criminals, the president is carrying out his duty to keep the American people safe, writes Tom Homan, former acting director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for Fox News. The only people who should be upset by the president's actions are the criminals he wants to stop from victimizing innocent men, women, and children. It's really horrible, folks. This is so out of control, especially in all these major cities. It's really, really bad. After an effort by the legacy media to disappear the story, the nation is finally hearing about the mayhem and violence overtaking Portland, Oregon. This story is now only being covered because President Trump realized local Democratic leadership had no real interest in ending the chaos and sent in federal law enforcement to establish the law and order for every American wants and deserves. According to the Washington Times, Congress passed the Great American Outdoors Act yesterday, which will achieve the twin goals of protecting America's crown jewels and repairing deteriorating infrastructure. It passed both the Senate and the House with bipartisan support, and President Trump specifically requested the bill for his signature. Wow, bipartisan support, that just sounds too good to be true, but apparently it's true. Okay, Ivanka Trump celebrates the bill's passage in Colorado. There's a little video clip of that. And the Supreme Court decision in Little Sisters of the Poor versus Pennsylvania was a major victory for freedom of religion and conscience in the United States. It was just the latest example of aggressive work by President Trump's Department of Health and Human Services to protect First Amendment freedoms and then win on those issues in court. Yes, so the boy, his name was Sandman, who he won the lawsuit. I think he came out with some damages too out of it, and where the CNN was trying to say he was harassing a Native American, and that wasn't the case. That wasn't true, and that was fake news. Just fake news, folks. It was fake news. So what else do we have here? Yep. Okay, let's move along. Let me just check in with my live chat and see how everybody's doing. Oops. How's everybody doing? Okay. I don't understand what you're saying, Robert, in that message there. So Trump and you two are going with the virus is real. What the hell happened? I don't really know what's going to. Hi, James. Nice to see you. Thanks for jumping into the live chat there. Good to see you. James from Euphoria Chronicles is in the house, folks. James Borg. And lots of stuff about UFOs. A lot of things going to be coming out soon, I think, as well. What do we have? I'm just trying to take a look at the chat and see what's going on here. Please just bear with me for just a minute, folks. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you people something, okay? All of the lovely folks in our live chat and everyone who's watching, do you agree with what the president did? Do you feel that it was the right move to make? Because clearly the governors did nothing. They did not call in the National Guard to protect the cities. There's a lot of people who really love these cities who live there, and they're being terrorized. What do you think? Does everybody think that the president's done the right thing? There's James. Or do you think people, hi Liverpool, how you doing over there? Oh, hey Audrey. Audrey Ewis is also in the live chat because we are, let me not forget, we are also simulcasting on Ascension Radio, folks. So thank you to Audrey Ewis for simulcasting this report tonight, this live stream on Ascension Radio. So I want to give a shout out and a hello to all the listeners on Ascension Radio tonight. Yep, simulcasting. Great to see you there, Audrey. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm just curious to see if anybody thinks or if anyone disagrees with what the president's doing, and what your reasons are. And please be polite, or we'll have to remove you from the chat because it's not productive. If you just want to spew anger and hate, it's not going to be productive at all. We're trying to have a reasonable conversation about this. So, okay. So what else do we have here? Okay, we have the national emergencies. Yeah, okay. Yes, so this was the news conference. I'm going to scroll through it before I screen share again because I don't want you to have to see the scrolling because it's quite long. Okay, the president also had he awarded the Medal of Freedom to Jim Ryan, and I think I also discussed this on Wednesday, so that was going to happen. Yes, Presidential Medal of Freedom to a legendary athlete and a legendary runner, Olympian, and true American patriot, former Congressman Jim Ryan. And so that's you can go to the GoldFishReport.blogspot.com and check out this event that happened at the White House regarding this Medal of Freedom award. So let me just check in with the live chat. Did anybody disagree? There's James. Does anybody disagree with the president? Tell me if you agree. Can you just write the word agree in the live chat if you agree? I just want to get an idea of how many people agree with what the president's doing with regard to the troops into these cities to clean them up. While you're doing that, I'm going to screen share what else the president's doing. Of course, the president is taking action to lower drug costs and ensure that Americans have access to life-saving medications. There was an event at the White House. There was a press conference as well. And there were different people who had different conditions who were there and, talked about things like, insulin medication and the price and the cost of that and how and we're going to talk about it right now. So let's talk about this. President Trump signed 4 executive orders to massively lower prescription drug costs and increase Americans' access to life-saving medications, including insulin. The first order directs federally qualified health centers to pass along massive discounts on insulin and epinephrine received from drug companies to certain low-income Americans. The second order will allow state plans for safe importation of certain drugs, authorize the re-importation of insulin products made in the United States, and create a pathway for widespread use of personal importation waivers at authorized pharmacies in the United States. The third order will prohibit secret deals between drug manufacturers and pharmacy benefit manager middlemen, ensuring patients directly benefit from available discounts at the pharmacy counter. The fourth and final order ensures that the United States pays the lowest price available in economically comparable countries for Medicare Part B drugs. The United States often pays 80% more for these drugs than other developed countries. It's time to reduce the price Americans pay for these costly Part B medications, and this order will be implemented on August 24th unless Congress finally decides to act after decades of failure. Lowering prescription drug costs for the patients. This latest action builds on the president's extensive efforts to drive down prescription drug prices for all Americans. Prescription drugs saw their largest annual price decrease in over half a century in 2018. Average basic premiums for Medicare Part D prescription drug plans have fallen by 13.5% since 2017, saving beneficiaries $1.9 billion in premium costs, rather. The Trump administration has approved generic drugs at historic rates, saving patients $26 billion in the first 19 months of the president's first term alone. In May, the administration announced that Part D senior savings model that will provide Medicare patients options to access a broad set of insulins at a maximum $35 copay per month. President Trump also signed legislation ending gag clauses that prevented pharmacists from informing patients about the best prices for the medications they need. Prioritizing patients. Throughout his time in office, President Trump has worked to provide Americans with the highest quality health care at lowest cost. President Trump has vowed to always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. The president has increased the availability of short-term, limited duration plans and health reimbursement arrangements, empowering patients with more choice in health care. To ensure access to care while reducing the risk of COVID-19 exposure for both patients and healthcare providers, the president has drastically expanded access to telehealth services. The president has empowered patients with more choice in healthcare by increasing the availability of lower cost health insurance plans and health reimbursement arrangements. The Trump administration has also taken action to improve transparency in healthcare prices, encourage competition, lower costs, and put patients in charge of their health decisions. Here is the executive order on lowering prices for patients by eliminating kickbacks to middlemen. Isn't this wonderful, folks? I mean, this is wonderful. Look what the president's doing here. He's doing this for us. He knows that this is so unfair. It's so unfair, especially seniors who are, especially particularly seniors and even other low income families who are diabetic and they need to rely on this life saving medication like insulin. Why should they be price gouged? That's so inhumane. Doesn't everybody think that that's inhumane? And of course, the president certainly does. Something that's fair and reasonable. Fair and reasonable. That's what the president, and it's like his trade policy. It's all about reciprocal trade. It's all about having a fair deal. The art of the deal. That's our president. So here's the executive order, and of course, it's also published in the Federal Register as well. This is also the executive order on increasing drug importation to lower prices for American patients. Here's that executive order, which is also in the Federal Register. Here's the other executive order, the third one, executive order on access to affordable life-saving medications. Absolutely, folks. I mean, why, if it's life-saving, why on earth do they need to be making these gouging profits on it? It's just not fair to people. It's not fair. So here, the list price for a single vial of insulin today is often more than $250, and most patients use at least 2 vials per month. As for injectable epinephrine, recent increased competition is helping to drive prices down. Nevertheless, the price for some types of injectable epinephrine remains more than $600 per kit. While Americans with diabetes and severe allergic reactions may have access to affordable insulin and injectable epinephrine through commercial insurance or federal programs such as Medicare and Medicaid, many Americans still struggle to purchase these products. So here it is. Come and take a look at these executive orders, folks. We also have week in review of in photos, which that's why that's why I decided to do the POTUS reports on Saturday nights, so I could catch these photos of the week from the White House that I could share with you all, because these are, it breaks up the monotony of all the screen sharing of the blog, so it makes it a little bit more colorful. So this is the president, the vice president, and the Senate Majority Leader, Senate Mitch McConnell, et al. In the Oval Office in a meeting on Monday. You have the president here signing a presidential memorandum on excluding illegal aliens from the apportionment base following the 2020 census. Yes, this is another thing the president did earlier this week, was essentially banning all illegal aliens from being included in the census, because that is accounted for our districting, and the number of representatives per state and per district are based on the number of people that they represent. So if they're not getting, right now, if you have someone in the country illegally, they aren't entitled to any constitutional rights or any protection or representation. Okay, so if you're illegal, you're illegal. That's how it is. Legal immigration, now that's no problem. Okay, so this is what the president did earlier this week, and that's a picture of him signing this. This is also really, really wonderful. I love how the First Lady does get involved in issues with children. The First Lady, Melania Trump, participates in a conference call with FEMA Administrator Peter Gaynor and FEMA's Youth Preparedness Council during their annual summit Tuesday, July 21st at the White House Situation Room. She focused on helping to prepare children, so that they have a sense of efficacy, that they know that they have certain life-saving or emergency kits prepared, so that if an emergency, at this point we should just say when an emergency does happen, they know that they have a kit they've helped to prepare, and they've helped to think about how they can help get through certain emergency situations. And just for the record, I mean, First Lady did inspire me to do a project. So I have decided to do a project with my own kids this summer, and we are going to make a water distillation unit. That's the goal. I can't grow any food, but I'm going to try to distill some water. For some reason, I'm having big problems trying to grow food. It's really not getting any better. Sadly, we're going to starve, but we're not going to die of thirst. Good grief. I mean, I'm trying to work on both, but it's just not really coming together that well for me these days. So there might be some more we talk about. I think there's going to be I think I have some clips with the First Lady talking about this, and she can explain in her own words, why she feels this is important, and for the kids to get involved in this. And of course, here's a photo of the president who's delivering remarks during a coronavirus update briefing. Now that the president has resumed doing his own coronavirus briefings in order to make sure, once again, the president has to take control of the narrative, because it's getting out of control. The mainstream media is not reporting the truth. They're not reporting facts. And so, it's wonderful to see that. When I was reporting at the White House, they didn't have those, monitors there. So that's new since I was there. So I really would love to go back. I really hope our viewers would like to see that happen and help make that happen by supporting the GoldFish Report. So becoming a Patreon or going to our website and making a contribution there, because we can't get back to the White House without your help. We are grassroots, we the people, and of course, as far as I know, we were among the first, if not the first, social media news company who was granted White House press privileges. So let's not forget that, folks. It is special. And of course, here is the press briefing room with the president up on the podium there, and Kayleigh McEnany to the right during taking questions from the reporters regarding the coronavirus. And then, of course, we have the second lady, Karen Pence, and Vice President Pence, as they were leaving Marine 2 en route to South Carolina. And here they are at this COVID-19 briefing in South Carolina there as well. And here's some more photos from that. You can come to the blog and take a look. They also toured Grey Ghost Bakery, which is a veteran and military spouse-owned bakery, with the founder there, Catherine Frankstone, in Charleston, South Carolina. And they look like they have a whole bunch of lovely, yummy goodies. If it's in South Carolina, I'm sure it's delicious, because the food in the South is just wonderful. It is delicious. And if I go to Charleston, South Carolina, I'm going to be sure I'm going to stop at this bakery and check it out, because they are big on pecans in the South too, and it's like, I'm sure they have wonderful, delicious things at their bakery. I would definitely go there. So here we have President Trump. I'm sorry, am I not screen sharing? No, I'm not screen sharing. Sorry, folks, didn't see that. Here, I'll go back. Okay, so I'm going to take a picture. I'm sorry, I'm screen sharing the back of the bakery. Here's the front of the bakery there, and okay, we're moving along to the president delivering remarks during the event Operation Legend, combating violent crime in American cities. And there's some posters up in the front where the president's speaking about looking for individuals who are responsible for violence and for murder of these individuals. Now, this is a different story. We're really crossing the line when it comes to trying to say these are peaceful protesters when these people end up being killed. We are not going to let these violent criminals try to control the narrative of what they're doing under the Trojan horse of political correctness or social justice. No way, Jose. It's not going to happen. And the president's, not going to let them get away with this. So we're more people speaking here. This is Sharon Powell, the mother of 4-year-old Legend Taliaferro, delivers remarks during the event Operation Legend, combating violent crime in American cities. In the East Room of the White House, Legend was shot and killed in June 2020 after being struck by gunfire as he slept in his bed in Kansas City, Missouri. Like, what child should ever have to? It's just unthinkable. Here we have President Trump listens to Sam Vigil speaks about the 2019 murder of his wife, Jacqueline, during the event Operation Legend, combating violent crime in American cities. So these are heartbreaking stories, and the president is dead serious. Look at that man coming into the press room saying, I'm going to own every one of you. He's just a force to be reckoned with, our president. We're so very lucky. You don't have to like everything about him. He's not a perfect man, but he's the best man for the job that we have right now, for sure. And here he is taking questions from the reporters on the coronavirus update. He's also, actually, this is another coronavirus meeting, and you have Jared Kushner there giving remarks, and of course, Mike Pence at the other end of the table. And here you have the president again using video graphics as he delivered his remarks during the press conference in the James Brady press briefing room. There you have the president. And there you have Kelly McEnany, and you have Deborah Birx. I don't know, with her mask on, quiet, with her mask muzzled like she should be. I don't know. I think she has lost popularity, with people. I think most people kind of are, seeing through her bureaucrat talk. You know what I mean? So here we have, President Donald Trump and Hall of Fame New York Yankees pitcher Mariano Rivera. Oh yeah, Mariano Rivera. Interesting. Arrive to the south lawn of the White House Thursday, July 23rd to attend an event with Little League players marking the opening day of Major League Baseball. Very cool. That must be very cool. Check it out. Here they are. Here they are with the Little League baseball players. How cool is that? There they are. Social distancing. Throwing balls. There's the president with his mitt on catching the balls. Pretty cool. You know, he couldn't wait to get out there and throw some balls with these guys. That's cool. So he's playing catch with the Hall of Famer. That's awesome. With the Little League players, too. So that's really nice. And there he is. And we've seen this president do this at the football stadium, too, haven't we? No, was it baseball? Maybe it was baseball. No, it was throwing a football. Yeah, when he was with Marla Maples. Remember that? Yeah, okay. We'll go past that. There he is throwing a pitch. There he is. Very cool. And there's the president with the Little Leaguers. Just so awesome. What a great experience it is for these boys being there at the White House with the president, isn't it? What a wonderful, wonderful, inspiring moment for these little boys. That's really wonderful. And there they are with the president. It's very cool. I don't see where the Little League team is from, but hopefully we'll find that. And here you have, again, First Lady Melania Trump arrives to a briefing with members of the President's Task Force on Protecting Native American Children in the Indian Health Service System in the State Dining Room of the White House. Now, I did see the reporter, what's her name, Rachel? No, I got to get her name. She's a reporter for OAN Network, right? She was saying that this was about sex abuse of children. But you see that, that it wasn't reported anywhere in the mainstream media, of course. So, of course, the First Lady is going to be a big advocate against that, an outspoken advocate. And here she is again with Federal Bureau of Investigation's Office for Victim Assistance Child Adolescent Forensic Interviewer. Delivers remarks during a briefing with members of the President's Task Force on Protecting Native American Children in the Indian Health Service System. Now, you have to realize, folks, we're talking about victims assistance, child adolescents forensic interviewer. So we're really talking about crimes against children here. So this is a very serious topic, and it's wonderful to see the First Lady be an advocate for this. Here she is again with other members of this task force. We have here Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, meeting with Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America in the Roosevelt Room. Interesting. If you want to get more information on that, go to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com. Check it out. And yeah, this was the Presidential Medal of Freedom ceremony for U.S. State Representative Jim Ryan. And then he delivered remarks here as well. So there you have it. And Catherine Ryan, daughter of Jim Ryan, speaks during the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Okay, and of course you have the Second Lady Karen Pence in an interview with Fanchon Stinger of Fox 59. Okay, so she's making her rounds there, and I think this was it's more on coronavirus updates in the VA Medical Center in Indianapolis. So here she is visiting the Veterans Medical Center there. Yeah. Okay, and of course, this is the big one. The president delivers remarks before signing executive orders on lowering drug prices. Oh, good, I'm not. At the South Court Auditorium of the Eisenhower Executive Office building at the White House. It looks like a little pharmacy there, how they have the pharmacies all set up. And this is it. More affordable insulin and EpiPens. Rebate rules and most favored nation, MFN. Allow importation. That's what the president was talking about, and this is him delivering on that. I have to say, here's the president walking to Marine One on his way to Bedminster, New Jersey, where I used to live. Used to live there. Beautiful place. And so there's also a briefing call here on the prescriptions and remarks by President Trump on signing the executive order of the lowering the drug prices. You can, if you want, I already read out a few quotes. I don't want to make the report too long tonight, but Here's some quotes. He says, additionally, my administration has secured 90% of the world's supply of the drug remdesivir, which is having great impact for the United States. And research continues daily on a lot of promising treatments, as I said. As we take these historic actions, we're joined today by Americans who've already benefited from the steps my administration has already taken to reduce the cost of healthcare and prescription drugs. You know, though, I really think that they should be making, let me know if you agree. Tell me if you agree, folks. Do you agree that hydroxychloroquine should be over the counter and everybody should be able to get it, to take it as prophylactic treatment? What do you think, folks? Yeah. James Borg, now you want pecan pie. You see, exactly. You know, they would have to throw that story in there. Now everybody wants pecan pie. And especially if you're in South Carolina, there's no better place to get pecan pie. I'm telling you. They got great pecan groves, pecan trees down there. But look, who agrees, who thinks that hydroxychloroquine should be made available over the counter? Who agrees? Karen? Karen agrees. Yeah. Who else agrees that hydroxychloroquine should be made over the counter for people so everybody can take it prophylactically? What do you think? I think it might be a good idea. I think it's something maybe the president, and we'd hope that maybe the president would consider to do. Remdesivir, you know, has other side effects. I mean, it's not to say that this doesn't have side effects as well, but you know, there are other. I think that it is a anti-malarial drug, which does. It has been shown to create. I guess it's its own. It's its own. What do you call it? I'm sorry. I'm so lost for this word tonight. I'm sorry, folks. I can't think of the word I was looking for. What is the word I'm looking for? Somebody help me out. Talking about hydroxychloroquine. I'm so sorry. I just totally blanked out. What is it that I'm trying to say? It's I'm sorry. I can't think of the word. What is the vaccination? The vaccines. The vaccines are the I can't think of the word. My God. See, I had a migraine all day long and I think my brain just got shot. Okay, I'm sorry about this, folks. There's a word that I'm trying to think of, and it's immunotherapy. That's what it is. It's immunotherapy. Thank you. Yes, Trump is a good chess player. I agree. Yes. It's immunotherapy. And this is what Judy Mikovits said. Now, she happens to be back in the news again. We're done right now reporting on the president for the moment. There are some other items in the news I wanted to bring up, and this is one of them here. I want to screen share it for you in case you haven't seen this. We have a couple minutes left before the end of the hour here. Here you have local TV stations across the country set to air discredited pandemic research conspiracy theory over the weekend that suggests that Dr. Fauci is responsible for the creation of the coronavirus. Whoa. This is explosive, folks. But hey, you know, if it's the truth, it's the truth. People who are criminals, you know, you should know that you're going to get caught one day and you're going to have to be held accountable. If you're criminals, I'm not suggesting Fauci's a criminal, but he's Tony the Rat Fauci, as he is affectionately known on this channel. Yeah, so it was interesting because I did read through this article, and this guy Larry Klayman was not a proponent of Judy Mikovits's theory, but his producers told him he had to do it, so he's doing the interview. But we've all talked about Judy Mikovits on this, and you've seen her interviews on other channels as well. So she has made it back in the news again. So it's interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But she said that she knew that combining fetal cells or cells actually, of animals and humans was going to create diseases in people. And that research that she discovered was squashed. In fact, she was not only squashed, I mean, she was imprisoned. She was threatened. Her home was raided. She was fined. She was, not. This was the pharma mafia. The pharma mafia. That's what it is. The drug cartel, who was shaking her down for her silence. Interesting. And one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to just go over a little bit of some of the news stories that we have on the GoldFish Report Twitter page. So please follow us on Twitter if you can. Here we have again, we're talking about the president. We have Don Jr. talking about the president's executive order on the price of insulin. We also have, interesting, this is what mind control looks like when, listen to it, let's see what it has to say.
We are concerned about irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Yeah, like that's not what they're doing. Okay, so that's always good to see. We've played that before on the GoldFish Report and Political Theater with the vets. Lots of other stories here. You can come here and take a look. I thought this was interesting to see what is happening in Israel, folks. There's been Tel Aviv has had major protests regarding the COVID restrictions, and the Israelis have not been happy. They've been out protesting. I don't know if they've been violent. I don't see any violence, but the Israeli government does not seem to be putting up with this. They are using these water cannons with this blue dye. I guess this blue dye is meant to track people, to mark them and track them in some way. Maybe they're contained with chips. Who knows what's in it, right? This is what happens. Well, they're calling them here militant rioters attack police. What happens in Israel when militant rioters attack police, citizens, and government property? They get blasted off the streets right into prison. This is not such a bad idea. I mean, they should be doing this over in Portland, actually. But, we have seen this before. We've seen this in Hong Kong. Yes, we have. Just recently, we've seen this in Hong Kong to people protesting the overturning of the agreement with the UK, because they violated their agreement, which was supposed to end in 2047, and they're acting on it now. So let me check in and see how everybody's doing. Yeah, it might be permanent dye. I have a feeling it's got some kind of marker in it that they can track you, probably like microchips and things like that of some nature. So the reason why so we have someone in the comment section who says, I agree, POTUS should have acted already, but the issue really comes down to the fact that, as Q has posted out, we have to go to Q and show that Q has said that in his post that you can't tell people some people you can't tell them anything, right? You can't tell them things. Sometimes you have to show them. And let me just see if I can find that really quick. It's time for people to go to jail. Yeah, look at that. It's unraveling. Spygate is unraveling, folks. It's really getting close to time. Very close to time. I'm looking to see if I can find that really quick before we end, but it does say, it does talk about it. Q has mentioned that you have to show them. So unfortunately, you had to see this happen because, I guess the risk was that they're not making the connection between the DNC and the BLM. They're not making the connection. I'm afraid that too many are not making that connection. But you know what's going to happen, folks? Not everybody will. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. Not everybody will make the connection, and also don't pay attention to the number of folks watching in the live stream, because that's not an accurate number. When I finish the live stream, there's usually like 600 people there. So and it's the first, it's just processing. So what's interesting is that, it only says 81 watching, but that's not the truth, because when I finish this live stream and it processes and posts in like 15 minutes, it's like hundreds of people. It's like hundreds are watching. So they're really doing this to totally control, to discourage people from watching the protests. I mean, from watching the POTUS reports and live streams. But one thing everybody can do to help, we need to make sure, because one of the things that they've done is the left has seized this opportunity to impose all of these COVID restrictions on the liberal states, right? And so we're having a lot of problems with regard to the president's not able to do his rallies. And there's people who are trying to really show support for the president. And one of the things you can do is give a thumbs up to this video, because this will come up into the recommended videos for all the subscribers. We have almost 14,000 subscribers on this channel, and everybody would see it more. The subscribers would see it more if you give thumbs up. So if you could give a thumbs up to this report, please do that, because it will help to circulate this video for people to watch. Because we're just trying to report the facts. We're reporting what the White House has released. We're reporting the facts of what the president's doing, and it's a great thing to share with people, because you're not going to see this on mainstream media. So you want to come to the GoldFish Report, and you want to see what the president's doing, just the president, strictly the president, because you know that I'm a White House reporter and that's what I report on. So I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. It is Saturday night. I do appreciate everybody being here and for joining me in the live chat. It's been great to have you with me tonight. This is the end of our POTUS report tonight, I believe. I'm just going to double check and make sure that I have covered all of the reports, that all of the news out of the White House for the week. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness, there's so many. No, there was more, actually. What's with my blog doing weird things? Okay. There's a proclamation. Sorry, folks, there is more. Proclamation on National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day. Let me screen share this for you all. Sorry, I almost closed out without sharing this. This is a proclamation. Guns fell silent along the Korean demilitarized zone after more than 3 years of brutal fighting to defeat the expansion of communism on the Korean Peninsula. On National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day, we pause to remember the uncommon courage and sacrifice of ordinary Americans who fought to defend freedom and protect the values we hold dear. Honestly, folks, we can't let these people destroy our country, and all these people put their lives on the line to go defend our country. Right or wrong, I'm not gonna get into the politics of whether the wars were right or wrong, but these patriots, these veterans, these soldiers went to put their life on the line for our country, thinking that they were, of course, doing a noble thing by doing so. Very stoic people, you know, and we can't let them destroy what they went and sacrificed for. We can't allow that to happen. We can't do that. So you might want to come here and read the whole thing. It's on the blog. And then, of course, we also have a proclamation on the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So you want to come here and take a look at this proclamation as well. It says that we celebrate the landmark legislation that helped open the door for every person with a disability to participate fully and independently in our society. Today, we reflect on the progress we have made as a nation in securing equal rights and defending the inherent dignity of all Americans, and we reaffirm our commitment to further advancing accessibility for those with disabilities. So yes, there was more to report on. Not sure what was going on my blog. Sometimes it does funny things. Let me see if I did cover everything else. Yeah, actually I think there might be. Oh, all right. There was more. Well, we're going to go a little bit over the hour, folks. Statement from the press secretary on unmanned aerial systems exports. Yeah, this is about, I think, drones. Okay. President Trump is taking action to improve the standards for exporting unmanned aerial systems. While the missile technology control regime is critical in slowing proliferation and promoting peace and security, it is in dire need of modernization as it applies to UAS, unmanned aerial systems, or drones, I think is what they're referring to. In a sector of rapidly evolving technology, the MTCR standards are more than 3 decades old. Not only do these outdated standards give an unfair advantage to countries outside of the MTCR and hurt the United States industry, they also hinder our deterrence capability abroad by handicapping our partners and allies with subpar technology. Come to the blog, folks. Come and take a look at this. You can read this in its entirety if you'd like. Okay, there's also, oh my goodness. Sorry, my blog was doing weird things. There is more to talk about. We'll see what we can get through. CDC releases updated guidelines in favor of reopening schools. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention late Thursday released new guidelines with a heavy focus on reopening schools in the fall. School closures have disrupted normal ways of life for children and parents, and they have had negative health consequences on our youth, CDC Director Robert Redfield said. Also, the federal law enforcement deployment in Portland is plainly legal, justified, and proportionate, Rich Lowry writes from the National Review. Now that Department of Homeland Security officials have explained the operation, there's no excuse for the continued Nazi references, not that there ever really was. Nazi references? I think it's the Nazis who were infiltrating us. They're the ones who are creating the violence. Okay. Yes, it's the same kind of ideology. Trump right to shut Chinese consulate in Houston. Of course, this was a big story this week. Gosh, what's with my blog? It was a massive spying operation. For the Chinese Communist Party, the Houston consulate served as a base of operations to exploit commercial joint ventures for state purposes and to gain access to advanced technology, proprietary information, and intellectual property in order to advance Beijing's efforts to undermine U.S. economic and national security, Senator Marco Rubio writes. Also, Ivanka Trump speaks at RMNP Discovery Center hikes near Bear Lake, and there were pictures posted that I posted on Twitter, I believe, of Ivanka taking these hikes in the park. Ivanka Trump visited Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado this week, where she joined Interior Secretary David Bernhardt to celebrate the Great American Outdoors Act passing through Congress. Ms. Trump called the bipartisan bill the farthest reaching conservation legislation since Theodore Roosevelt over 100 years ago. And in coronavirus economy, Trump administration pulling out all stops to help small businesses. Again, the Paycheck Protection Program has helped save nearly 5 million small businesses and 51 million jobs, U.S. Small Business Administrator Jovita Carranza writes. In addition, at the direction of the president, federal agencies have already taken more than 700 deregulatory actions to remove obstacles to job creation and growth, she says. We also have the president's intent to nominate key individuals to administration posts. The president has intended to appoint the following individuals to be members of the Administrative Conference of the United States for the term of 3 years. It's Robert Thomas Servino of California, Jennifer B. Dickey of California, Adrian Vermeule of Massachusetts, and Ronald A. Cass of Virginia. Okay. There's also a readout here of the First Lady. Here it is. A readout of the First Lady's briefing on protecting Native American children. And there's a lot to read out here, but I'm going to read it in its entirety because it's important. Today, First Lady Melania Trump was briefed by the President's Task Force on Protecting Native American Children in the Indian Health Service System. Mrs. Trump was joined by several members of the task force and others who had made important contributions to its report, which was released today. That was July 23rd. President Trump formed the task force in March 2019 to provide recommendations to deter, mitigate, and respond to any allegations of future child sexual abuse in the IHS. Yes, see, there it is, child sexual abuse. The First Lady opened the session by welcoming participants and thanking them for their work on behalf of the well-being of children, and noted that strong Native American communities are strong American communities. Task Force co-chair Trent Shores introduced the members of the task force and contributors and provided an overview of the task force efforts and findings, including the importance of working hand in hand with tribal leaders throughout the process. Other members of the task force shared their input, and a discussion of the task force's recommendations and the next steps followed. The First Lady emphasized the need for children to feel safe speaking up about abuse, and about the importance of reducing the stigma around mental health so that children feel secure and know they will be heard. The First Lady closed the briefing by thanking the task force for their important work. She also shared her gratitude for the Cherokee Nation's invitation to travel to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, noting that she looks forward to visiting when it is feasible to do so. The First Lady concluded by stating, quote, "I know that this administration inherited many of these problems, but I am very proud that you are all still working to protect children, to prevent such abuse from happening again, or if and when it does, to immediately mitigate it. I am sure that the men and women of Indian Health Services share that goal, and I look forward to following up to ensure that they have the training and resources they need to provide the finest possible care to Native American communities." And I think it is so important to share the the news regarding the administration's efforts to help support the indigenous population of our country, what's left of it, right? So it's what it is, and so we rarely ever hear from the Indian nations, and so it's wonderful to see them, putting attention on this, putting this into focus for people. And there's also a list here of all the people, all the attendees, and there were people from the Navajo Nation, tribal liaisons, and Bureau of Indian Affairs. What else do they have? Yeah. Okay, so let's see. What else are we going to be talking about today? Yeah. Just to sum up now, we're going to leave off on this last press release, because I think this is what everybody really wants to hear. This is about the protecting American communities. The Trump administration is releasing a new rule that will further fair housing while respecting the role of state and local decision making for their communities. Okay, let me read this. President Trump is protecting our suburbs and preserving the American dream for all Americans. The suburb destruction will end with us. So what he's saying is the president is protecting American communities from excess federal overreach and preserving local decision making. No more BLM takeovers, I guess. The Trump administration, as I just said, okay, this action will repeal the Obama administration's affirmatively furthering fair housing AFFH rule, which took away decision-making from local communities. The new rule eliminates the excessive burden put on local communities and gets rid of the top-down approach that dictated zoning for communities. The rule will help promote housing that is affordable, decent, safe, and free from discrimination. Under the president's new rule, localities will continue to certify that they will affirmatively further fair housing as required by law. The Obama administration's original AFFH rule attempted to take local zoning decisions out of the hands of local communities. AFFH would have imposed a massive regulatory burden on localities, required high-density zoning, eliminate single-family zoning, and destroyed our suburbs. This over-regulation of our suburbs would have harmed Americans' abilities to work, to buy homes, and build lives for their families, including many minority communities. Our suburbs are diverse and thriving communities where the majority of African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans now live. The suburbs represent a vital part of the American dream as Americans work to build a better life for themselves and start a home for their families. Providing Americans with the opportunity for home ownership is key to expanding opportunity and helping all Americans prosper. Home ownership offers the chance for all Americans to build wealth for their families. Unleashing regulatory relief. Through this action, President Trump is building upon his historic reversal of the Obama administration's disastrous regulatory policies. President Trump is delivering on his promise to free Americans from federal overreach, with federal agencies taking over 7 deregulatory actions for each significant regulatory action. And they talked about this a long time ago, folks. I think even back in 2017, he was working on this. So right after he was sworn in into, so that's important. The president reversed the Obama administration's Clear Power Plan regulation that would have raised electricity prices and driven up costs for Americans. President Trump stopped the egregious abuse of the Clean Water Act, which threatened American farmers, ranchers, and landowners with endless litigation. The president did away with a ridiculous Obama-era rule that would have banned the incandescent light bulb, restoring freedom for Americans to choose how they light their homes. Can you imagine? Good grief. The president replaced Obama-era fuel standards with the much improved, safer, affordable, fuel-efficient, safe vehicles rule, which is expected to lower the price of new vehicles by $2,200 and make cars cheaper for low-income Americans. And that, let me see what else we have. Okay, actually, I think we have one more. We have one more press release I'm gonna present tonight. They are coming in, by the way. Usually they usually post these until about, sometimes until 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night sometimes. They work very hard in the White House press office, let me say. President Trump is working to give students and parents flexibility and schools the support they need to reopen this fall. And the president said with this funding, if the schools do not reopen, then the parents should get the money to make the choices of where they want to send their kids. As he says here, encouraging schools to reopen safely, President Donald J. Trump is taking action to ensure schools safely reopen in the fall and empower parents to make decisions about their children's education. President Trump is calling for legislation to ensure that schools have the funding and incentives they need to safely reopen this fall and to empower families with school choice. To encourage schools to make in-person classes available this fall, the president is requesting $105 billion in education funding as part of the next coronavirus relief bill, $70 billion of which will directly support K-12 education. Approximately 35 billion of the 70 billion will be reserved for schools that reopen. Under the president's vision, students and parents will also be offered support to allow them to choose the school options that are best for them. Along with any new funding, schools must innovate and employ creative methods such as flexible schedules, cohorting, and master teaching to keep kids and teachers safe. If schools do not reopen, funding should allow students so parents can send their children. Funding should follow students, rather, so parents can send their child to the private, charter, religious, or home school of their choice. Actually, I think that's what they should be doing anyway. As a parent, that's my opinion. Providing flexibility to parents. Parents should be given the flexibility to choose what option is best for the well-being of their child and family. It is vital that parents be allowed to weigh both the benefits and risks of sending their child back to school, including the level of community spread and the makeup of their household, especially for multi-generational households. The best available evidence indicates that COVID-19 poses relatively low risk to school-age children. Data suggests that children and adolescents under 18 years old account for under 7% of COVID-19 cases, and 99.96% of all fatalities are adults. Lengthy time away from school harms a student's ability to advance academically and prevents educators from best ensuring the well-being of students. Furthermore, school closures make it difficult for parents to work, potentially hampering the financial security of millions of working American families. Estimates from the Council of Economic Advisors suggest that 5.6 million parents will be unable to return to work if schools do not reopen this year. Prioritizing the welfare of our nation's children, failure to offer in-person classes could harm students' development, especially those in disadvantaged communities. While students have shown that long-term school closures adversely impact students from all backgrounds, they are especially harmful for those with fewer resources. According to a survey by Ed Trust, 50% of low-income and 42% of families of color lack sufficient devices at home to access distance learning. McKinsey and Company has found that school shutdowns deprive lower income students of vital support and engagement, resulting in disproportionate learning losses. Another study showed that due to shutdowns last spring, the average student will begin this school year roughly 35% behind in reading and more than 50% behind in math compared to a typical year. Without in-person learning, educators are also unable to monitor important learning deficits, as well as report signs of abuse and address mental health problems. According to federal data, education personnel report 1 in 5 cases alleging child abuse or neglect. Lack of in-person learning also deprives students, especially the most disadvantaged students, of access to important services. Nationwide, nearly 30 million American students rely on schools for free or reduced meals. More than 70% of children receiving mental health services do so at school, and nearly all therapies for children with intellectual or physical disabilities are performed at school. So that's a big deal. And so this is really a week in review, and I can tell you that this president is busy. He's busy representing we the people like never before. We've never had a president do this for us. We've never had a president take care and sincerely and represent every segment that is vulnerable, and every segment all together, including from those that may be in lower socioeconomic groups to the stock market. I mean, it's a range. I just think that the president is working so hard, which is why these reports take such a long time to report on. There's so much this White House is doing. And we are so, grateful that, President Trump is there being the commander in chief, because I couldn't imagine anyone more appropriate for the job, to be honest, at this time, especially when there's so many changes going on the planet. There's so many new emergencies and situations that are coming up, and competing agendas. And as we've reported on the GoldFish Report, there is a power transition going on this planet. The old guard is supposed to be retiring, and they're not going willingly. They're not going to make it easy, and they don't like losing power. So that is what's happening, and they are causing a lot of problems. That's right. President Trump is the best man for the job. So everybody, we need to make sure that we like this video, give it a thumbs up so that we can circulate this video, and we can make sure that other people see this in their suggested video news feed. Because without the president being able to do his rallies, we all need to work a little bit harder at getting this, circulating this information, and making sure that our president gets reelected. So to everybody out there, thank you. That's it. Now I'm signing off for real this time. Thank you all for viewing. Thanks for your comments in the comment section in the live chat. I always appreciate all of our viewers who come into our live chat. And I also appreciate all those listeners on Ascension Radio who have been listening along with me. Thank you very much for listening. And thanks to Ascension Radio for simulcasting this POTUS report. I hope you're all doing well over there at Ascension Radio. People go over there and visit them and see how they are doing. And James Borg, thank you so much for being in the chat tonight. And you still are listed as my moderator. I don't know if you knew that. So thanks a lot, James from UFOria Chronicles. Go check it out. Go check him out. Check out James's interviews that he does on UFOs and contactees and all kinds of things that I think we're going to hear a lot more about coming up very, very soon. Hi, Captain Raid. How are you doing? Where are you, over in Shanghai? How are you doing? Barbara McAllister, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining me tonight. I do appreciate you being there. There you are, James. It's good to see Audrey Ewis in there as well. He's busy running this live stream. So everybody, we will be back on Monday. Now we know that we're going to be having our political theaters only on BitChute, but we do have a placeholder thumbnail link here in YouTube as well, so you don't forget, because you can just go to the bottom of that description section there and click on that link, and it'll direct you right to our BitChute channel where you can view the political theater. And I have to say, look, we need to think smarter about how we're going to report our news, right? We have them cracking down on anybody who talks about QAnon, and of course, if you're conservative as well. The mainstream media does not want to allow anybody to have an alternative point of view to theirs, to their Mockingbird media, to their controlled narrative fake news. They want to accuse us. It's projection, as Q always says. It's projection. They're projecting onto us what they themselves are doing. So we've got it. Yep, with the Fets. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave my Fets. He's an awesome man. He's so awesome. And, Jim and I have our differences, and you've all seen that. But we respect each other. We really do. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Audrey. I see you there in the live chat. Thanks for joining in there. And thanks, James, for being with me, too, and for being moderator. I do appreciate that, and hanging in there. I hope to see you guys soon. Fetz is good. He's awesome. Definitely. And we're also going to be doing regular reports for Food for the Soul, which is one of my favorite reports to do as well, because they're really about quality of life conversations with Dr. Scott Werner that everybody really needs to hear right now. You need to have that positive voice that just reminds you that it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. I have to remind myself sometimes too. So I do appreciate everybody for being with me, and check out new interviews that we have coming up. And, like I said, you want to be a supporter of the GoldFish Report, please consider making a commitment and being a Patreon to our channel, and we can make more happen for you. So we want to thank you. Scott is amazing. And his wife, they're an amazing team. They truly, truly are. They're an amazing team, and they're both really wonderful people. they are doing a lot to take care of me personally, and I'm very grateful to them. But they have walked the walk, and these are two people who really have every reason to be disenfranchised and bitter, and they are not. After what Scott's been through, I can tell you, these people have overcome this and have in a miraculous way, and they have been each other's rock and support system. So it does help to have that relationship. When you have a really great working relationship together, they really have overcome some tremendous odds together, and they have learned so much, and they continue to educate themselves. They were just over in where were they? They were in Europe doing seminars, attending seminars, I should say. They were over in the where was it? Bahrain or something like. No, it wasn't Bahrain. It was, I don't know. It was one of those countries over there where they were meeting with Dr. Joe Dispenza, doing attending his lectures, and he's really trying to get as much information as possible to try to exactly ho'oponopono, and trying to assimilate all of it to be there for everybody. So have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Try to enjoy the sunshine. I know that it's hot. It's hot everywhere. Northeast still having a bit of a heat wave because it's not usually always this hot, but it's so oppressively humid, like you can't breathe outside. And for my Arizona friends out there, I know you're saying it's hot out there, and it always is in Arizona. So you hang in there. Just go jump in some of those beautiful streams and natural waterfalls that you have out there, and stay cool, folks. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.